Hello students, welcome, Khushamdeed and Hosh Galdanis. Our today's session is based on a discussion on Shakespearean drama. First of all, I like to introduce you with the certain primary features of Shakespearean drama. The one of the most prominent features of Shakespearean drama is that, and this is also a distinguishing point for Shakespeare, and as well as the point that caused popularity of Shakespeare as a dramatist in the English society on that time. The point is that Shakespeare brought the English drama from Latin and Greek philosophies to English society. Yes, his plays have settings that are taken within Europe, that are taken within the English society of that time. His plays involved characters from the surroundings. The kings and queens are taken from the European society, and they are his central characters are normally taken from the societies, the English society. So this is one of the features, although in many of other plays he had taken some supernatural features as well. But this is the major contribution of William Shakespeare, that he attempted to bring English drama within the English settings, within the settings of England, within the settings of Europe. Shakespearean plays are classified in three major categories: tragedies, comedies, and tragic comedies. As far as the question of tragedies is concerned, then tragedy is a drama that is solely based on the tragic settings and that ends on the death of the central character. The comedy is a type of drama in which we can find the witty, humorous, and supernatural elements combined in a very beautiful way, that they create not only a humorous effect but also a very kind of intellectual humor. So, and to the third category, the tragic comedy, is the type in which both of the elements of tragedy and comedy are found in a harmonious blend. My today's discussion is based on particularly Shakespearean tragedies. Shakespearean tragedies, although they are tragedies, but they are not fully tragic, because within those plays there are very elements of humor, there are very elements of wit that are combined in those settings of tragedy. So it is not fully a tragedy. There are many humorous situations within those plays. There are certain characters that are created, that are introduced for creating humor. Particularly the very famous characters of Shakespearean tragedy are fools, and those fools have a very strong wit. They are not only humorous, but they create witty humor. For example, you can go through the dialogues of the Fool of King Lear, that all the time when King Lear was about to commit a mistake, the fool interrupts in the play, and although in a humorous way, but he tries to hit on the intellect of the king, on the reason of the king. But his dialogues create the element of humor as well as wit within that play, King Lear. Now, what is Shakespearean tragedy, and what makes a play a tragic play? When we talk about the Shakespearean tragedy, it has taken its origin from the concept of Old Greek tragedy. Because just like Old Greek tragedies, Shakespearean tragedies end on the death of the leading characters, the central characters. Shakespeare also worked on the philosophy of tragedy, just like it was worked on by the old Greeks. To them, tragedy is something that that has happened with some innocent person, that is happened with some sort of person who is actually kind, who is actually benign, who is actually intellectual, but he commits a very heinous error due to the misfortune, and that misfortune leads him or her to decay. So, this is the very philosophy of tragedy, because tragedy is anything that happens with innocence, and anything bad that happens with some evil characters, that can never be taken as tragedy, that can be taken as reversal of fate. So tragedy is always happened with some innocent persons. If we keep that very point in mind, then we can find Shakespearean tragedy very much near to the Greek tragedy, and rather we can say that his tragedy is inspired of the Greek tragedy. The major features of Shakespearean tragedy are that his major character, the protagonist, has to face a kind of social isolation, and that social isolation is caused by his own tragic error. And this very concept of tragic error is very near to the Greek concept of hamartia or hematia, and it means the error of judgment. In most of the Shakespearean tragedies, his central characters, his leading characters, his protagonists commit this type of hematia, this type of error of judgment that results into the social isolation or social breakdown of that character, and hence it ends on the death of that character. Not only on the death of that character, but on the death of all the leading characters. Like in all of his tragedies, Hamlet, King Lear, Julius Caesar's, Macbeth, we find the tragedies end on the death of the major characters, not only the protagonist but all the major characters in the surroundings. In most of the tragedies, this happens. Uh, and another very prime feature of Shakespearean tragedy is that just like Greek tragedies, in the Shakespearean tragedies, the events and situations are portrayed in a way that they are portrayed as inescapable for the protagonist. Means for protagonist has to go through this by all means. So the situations are designed in this way. The major Shakespearean tragedies are Hamlet, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar, Othello, King Lear, and Titus Andronicus. And in all of these tragedies, most of these tragedies and most of these tragic plays are part of the international academia. In the courses of English literature, in the courses of Shakespearean drama, they are taught with different critical angles, and each one of them has a different angle, and we will separately discuss each of them in our next discussions. But today is a holistic view of Shakespearean tragedies. Technically, when we talk about Shakespearean plays and Shakespearean tragedies, they are normally written in a very verse style, in a lyrical style, and technically he used the technique of blank verses in his plays. And Shakespeare and Marlowe are actually the literary figures of the Elizabethan time period, though they just had taken the blank verses to its excellence, to its perfection. And in the end, the most of the Shakespearean tragedies are designed on the basis of the Greek tragedies, because most of the characters, they commit the error of judgment and they have to face the consequences at the end. And and they are normally innocent, and they are represented as that they are helpless to take an escape. So they have to go through with all those situations. These are the primary features of Shakespearean tragedies, and most of the Shakespearean tragedies, rather almost all of the Shakespearean tragedies, have got their origin from the Greek concept of tragedy, and that is very clearly evident in Shakespearean drama. But the prime feature of Shakespearean drama is that Shakespeare had just brought English drama into English settings, within English lands, within European settings. This is the major contribution of Shakespearean drama. That is also a very reason of Shakespearean popularity. A very interesting incident is that is coming into my mind, that Shakespeare's popularity on that time was so high that most of the people, they started thinking that it is actually Queen Elizabeth herself writing these plays with the pen name of Shakespeare. But then Queen Elizabeth had to invite William Shakespeare, in her court, and to present her and to present him publicly as William Shakespeare, the famous dramatist of the time, in order to cope with this misconception that was created due to the extraordinary popularity of William Shakespeare on that time. So this was the time of Queen Elizabeth when Shakespeare was writing, and it was the excellent time period of English drama, and particularly the rise of English drama, and English drama reached to its climax on that time. We will have the discussions on Shakespearean tragedies and Shakespearean comedies that are the part of our academia separately. But I think that the primary features are necessary to be discussed. So my today's session is just based on the primary features of Shakespearean tragedies. Thank you so much. See you in the next discussion, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.